Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
I mean, we got a bunch of stuff we got to watch out this morning for. Mainly the CAD, but we do have some U.S. issues that we want to be aware of. These are set to Central Time. Those are my clock because I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So looking at right now, we got the PPI. And remember yesterday, if you were with us yesterday, that you had noticed a huge change once the news came out. I forget which news item that was. Let's go take a check. It was the core PPI and the CPI. These two items really kind of threw our charts into a frenzy for a short time. So we want to be aware of these things, especially with the CAD. This may be a big deal. It's a statement. I read over the central banks of the Canadian dollar. There wasn't really anything in their central reports that showed any real change. If you do get into liking to read that type of stuff, then the Australian dollar and the Aussie government gives a lot of good information. They pretty much are going to tell you where it's going to go. It may not give you immediate or when it's going to go, but they pretty much will tell you what they want their price to be at in relation to the dollar, which that's a good heads up. So we'll be aware of the CAD and the Aussie. And the first thing I like to do is I always come to our Hercules tool, which is giving us our momentum. I'm in a trade. I'm looking to possibly adjust it a little bit. It looks like right now I'm okay. I'm in the Kiwi US and the pound US. The pound has gotten a little weak on that. I run my charts at an hour up here, 30 minutes up here, 15 and 5, which is a little bit different than Al. He has them in different order, but that way I know left to right that I'm going from high to low. He predominantly looks at the 15, 5, and 1. I like to know for my personal, good morning, Pia. I like to know from my personal information what's happening on the 1 hour and the 30 minute. I like to know that push. So I keep them up. And we are developing some things that make it a little bit easier on TradingView that we're going to be probably unveiling within the next month or so. That will make it a whole lot easier for you guys if you're in the Hawkeye room to either use the tools or understand what we're doing all on one platform. So looking at our power grid, we're looking at I like to put 7 and 6 against 1 and 0. So we can look at, that's NZD is probably your strongest at this point overall, but it is kind of coming down. CAD is the next one. So let's see if we can find something with CAD. CAD US probably. So let's see what we can do with the US CAD to start our morning off with. This is my pound that I did a market entry here and a set and forget entry down here, and it just triggered, and we'll see what happens with that. We'll review that one later on, but let's go over to our US CAD. Start real simple. We like to, and Al and I are pretty much the same way. I'm going to get rid of some of the noise so you can understand it first once it loads up. I'm using the FXCM platform. There's a tool that I use that we are developing for TradingView, but it's not on the chart yet, but I like to use it, and I'll show it to you here in a moment. It gives me the confirmation that I need to have. I like this trade right now, but I'm not quite ready to do what I want to do with it yet. So we're going to get that out of the way. And basically what happens is, I'll do this retracement later. Basically what happens, we have a fib plotter. We call it Atlas. And that's these lines here. Now, the theory behind this, and it can be proven, is we're not looking for specific price action at a specific price. Banks don't do that. When I did it, we didn't look for instance, we didn't do currency, but I wouldn't be looking at a stock or a bond at $24.67. I would be looking for it at $24.75. So I'd be working on the quarters. At times we did dimes, and rare we do nickels. Institutions and governments are what makes the big moves happen. Now, this is probably some news-based item of some sort. And so what we do is we find out that these fib numbers correlate with price action. That's what the Hawkeye strategy is all about. It's price action. Where do we expect price to move or stall? We don't know how far it's going to move. There's going to be overshoots like this. These are overshoots. But in general, when we blow this up and we look carefully at these lines, we can find out that this was the area where it blasted from, and the blue was where it stopped. And you can see this throughout, all the way through red. This is where it resisted, then it blew out, came back to retest, and blew up. Now we're testing. It's throwing it back down. Looking at this, I'm going to do an analysis. I'm betting I'm going to be able to get in this here shortly. But that's what the playground, this is kind of giving our playground. These are broken in thirds. If you study quarters, quarters is a theory where all price is based on quarters. And if you notice, my current pricing on the right side is all quarters based. And now when I blow it up, it'll go away. But if you notice right now, I've set it up to show quarters. So 2,500, 2,525, 2,550, 2,575. Bakers are lazy. They want the easy numbers. So let's go over here and show you how we got. So normally what Al would do is he'd find the previous days. He's texting me right now. Al he's so worried about this room. It's wonderful. He'll just landed safely. Yeah. So what Al would normally do is Al would normally come in and he would.
Excuse me, Brian.
I got you. Yeah, I got her. Thank you. Al would usually find the days high, days low. Good morning, Eva. Days high, days low, and he'll do a fib pull. What's that, Eva?
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how late it was, and I looked at my computer and went,
"Oh, you're Canadian. It's okay. Y'all live on that wishy-washy clock, and that's okay. Chilled out. It's all chilled out up there, up north."
Funny guy. There's some Canadian. Yeah. Be careful.
I'm a hockey and curling fan.
There you go.
Believe it or not. Strange enough, I got hooked on curling. So Al would pick a low and a high for the daily high. What I do is I let the fib do it for me. I don't want to think as much. I want to keep everything as mechanical as possible. And then I come back to a general retracement tool and I pull from top to bottom, which gives me my, my playground. For me, I'm looking at this. I'll go back to now I got everything I really need. Now there's another tool that I use, and I don't want to confuse anybody, but it's called supply and demand. You'll see it more and more, but it gives a very strong indication where price is blown away from. It's very sensitive to price action. I need to clean that up just a bit. I'll set that as default. And what this will do is tell me where supply and demand zones are. And it's perfect. So this is in a great place. So I'm going to now take my I'm going to do a market entry because I'm before anything. And I'm not going to take a full position. This is how I do it. I don't take a full position. I take a partial because it is aggressive. So if you're aggressive and you end up losing a lot, back off on your position size, make yourself feel better. Get in the trade. Now, that's my initial. Now, when I look at this, I have plenty of room. Now, I set this on a 15-minute. I didn't even go down to the 5-minute because the picture looked fine. I'm before this 23. Now, I'm assuming when I go down to 5, I'm going to have a demand zone down here, but up here, and we'll do that. So what I'm really looking for is what Al does. This gives me, for me, this is my personality. This gives me the feeling, okay, I'm doing something. I don't know if you guys have that same thing where you feel like you got to be in a trade so you can be doing something. Well, I'm doing something now, but where's my best trade? My best trade is probably right here at the 38. This is a drop, base, drop. It's already retested it once, but I'm going to drop down to that 5-minute. Everything's still mechanical. At this point, entry is just the subjective part. Now we've got a better picture. Remember I said I would probably come up into that 38. This is that zone that I'm looking at. The supply and demand tool identifies it. If you're not comfortable with that and you really feel that there's going to be a strong pullback, then you try this one at the 50. Now, remember, the 50 is a strong level on all time frames. And it's also a whole number. So you want to make sure your stop is above that. So what I like to do, I'm already in the trade. If it goes my way, I have a half position. But I can play this over and over and over again. It may not come back, but many times you'll find 7 pips is all we're going for. It'll range and do this back and forth for a while. But if not, I like to also do a set and forget. So I'll take my entry and I'll do my other half right here. And I'll do the same thing. Now, here's where I make a little bit of an adjustment in my setup. I don't go for 7 pips on my second entry. I go for about 12 to 13, 14, depending on where it falls. I want it near here. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm setting it, forgetting it. I am not going to actually leave this alone. I am going to be watching it. But notice my targets are the same. But what I like to do is my first entry, I like to drag my stop up. Yes, I'm taking on more risk, but I like to get it out of the way because very rarely do I take a full 15 pip loss anyway. Now, I'm done. I go back to my demo account. Again, this is all on demo this morning. I'm not trading live. And we're looking at right now, I need to look at my pound US to see where the power grid is because I did the same thing. I entered a first position and I've entered my second position. And right now that's not doing so hot. So I need to go to my power, my Hercules, and see where the pound's at in relation to the US. Okay, we just got stronger on the 1 hour. We're still good. We just have to be a little patient. It's a little bit quirky down here on the lower time frame, but as long as these are up here and this is down here, now if this one starts squeezing up, then I need to be very careful about the pound US. But we just got into the US CAD, and I want to see what our power is right now, because what we can do is we can always go and do something else. CAD just came down a little bit, but we're high on the 30-minute, high on the 15, high on the 1, and US is low across the board. So I'm safe. And so we monitor, and what we're going to do, Eva, are you ready to look at an indice or the German? Because I know you guys like that stuff in this room.
Actually, that's what I was looking at when I lost track of time. Right now, the German isn't giving us a whole lot of anything, so we have to
let me know when it does. That way we can switch over, because currency is going to do currency stuff. Indices are kind of interesting. I don't do them often. I'm still learning from Eva. Eva's doing really, really, really well with a German 30 and her strategy with it. So I would personally expect this to pull back a little bit, but you know how I am. I like to feel like I'm doing something. So I take a small piece. I get a small piece in here. Didn't take a full order. And I probably need to come over here and pull this up for myself as well, because I didn't do that this morning. Let me turn this off. Y'all don't need to see disclaimers again. And let me get my Hawkeye calculator out. And we're working on updating this as we speak for the German 30, but knowing that I'm doing the US CAD, I'd come over here. Again, this is my demo. I'm going to show you what a normal, most people don't day trade with $50,000 in their account. I'm going to put just $1,000 in. Let's just say you have $1,000 account. I like to risk 3% per trade. Nothing wrong with that. It's safe. It's 3%. You're risking $30. So if I was really doing this in my trading, I would put my standard risk down here, which we all in this Hawkeye room usually around 15. Some people don't use stops. They use a visual. They don't put a hard stop in. They stop themselves out, and that's okay too. But you need to have a mindset of where your stop is going to be. And I put 15 in there because I put a hard stop in so I can see it. That's the only reason I wanted it. And it gives me the proper position sizing. So I could expect if I'm looking for 7 pips and I'm risking $30, I'm looking to minimum make $15. Now I could let it run a little bit. So I'm looking for each trade in $1,000 account to make 15. So I need, to be honest, I need 2 trades to win, and I'm done for the day and I have 3%. That's all. And that's what you need to be concentrating on, is make sure that you understand you don't have to have 10, 12, 14 trades a day, because usually when you start over trading is when you start losing. So we'll go back here and see where our grid's at, and let's go back to our chart. Any questions so far? Seems pretty straightforward. Here we go. So we did not make our retracement back quite as of yet. I'm going to leave it there. Even if I hit my target, but we did create this little demand zone. But notice how our price has already broken through it. Once this 15 or 5-minute candle is completed, that green will be gone. And that's a nice movement out. What time we got here? Because we got to be real careful with anything Canadian. Because it's going, I'm going to be out of these, anything Canadian here shortly. So it looks like so far, it's doing really, really well for us. Looking at our power grid with our Hercules, CAD is strong, CAD is strong, CAD is strong, it's across the board. Yeah, this thing should do its job. That doesn't mean it won't hesitate right here, because remember, the 23 is a key line. It wouldn't surprise me that it bounces somewhere and comes back here. It may not even be able to close. We got 3 minutes before we close with that candle. We'll see what happens. And then we'll go back and check some of the other ones that I did to see if we need to make a change or adjustment or get out of them. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and assume that this is going to hit. We'll check it in a second. Let's go back to that nasty US pound CAD that I was in. So right now it's kind of sitting in no man's land. We created demand. That's where my secondary entry was. My first was bouncing off the 38. It kind of came through that still. We had a power adjustment, but everything's still in the overall picture. This is a 5-minute chart. So on the 15, it's going to look fine. So let me slide this over and get this out of the way a little bit. Clean it up as we go. And let's jump to the 15 to see, because that's where we do our analysis and do our drawing. So let's see if the picture's changed. It's changed a little bit. Changed a little bit, but we're still right here. So what we really want to do with this is we really want to be paying attention to what does our Hercules tool tell us. Is our Hercules tool going crazy across the board? US is low, pound is high. So we may have to have some, we're still 3 points on this one. We're 5 on this one, or 4. We're squishy on this one. So this doesn't surprise me. So this may be just a deeper pullback. Don't panic yet. Usually a deeper pullback might mean a better entry later on. You can add to your position, however you feel it. I see that now we're down in this area. Probably on a lower time frame, we're probably going to have a demand zone somewhere down here. So let's go check. Again, I do my drawings on 15. I don't ever click these tabs here on this particular platform. I'd like to see my drawings from the 15 down on the 5. So in order to do that, I just do that. This area right here is a nice area that I would think that we potentially could go, but we got this demand zone sitting down here, right near our blue fib line, which means this is probably where it could potentially most conservative entry you could have is right here. That would be your most conservative. Looking at the 1 minute, I don't manage on a 1 minute. Al likes to do it, so I'm doing this for his benefit. It's just too fast. And if you feel like it's moving too fast and you get emotionally tied to your trades, get out of the 1 minute. Don't do 1 minute. If you feel like, oh, I can't handle it going up and down. This stuff, these look like they're huge moves, and they're really not. I can't manage on a 1 minute. But it does tell me we have a demand zone here and a demand zone down here that we need to be aware of, that my stop is below them. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be wrong, and that's okay.
Excuse me, Brian.
Yep.
For those new to our room, can you explain your terminology, like demand zone, supply zone? Sure.
So let me go back over to the 5 minute on the US CAD. That'll give us okay. So let me do it on this one because it just created. You have price action. Demand is like support and resistance. Okay. So you have supply and demand is like support and resistance. So when we come in here and my tool here is set up, and my swing's set up a little bit different, but for my scalping, I have it set up for extremely strong. So it's looking for 2 candles in a basing and then a strong move out. That's why this demand was created. It's identifying the demand where price seemed to blow away from an origination point of price. Now, if I'm looking at this right now, to me, this looks like it's going down further. And I potentially want to be aware of that to get out of my first initial position. But if you notice, we just created a new supply zone, a price action moving strong out. So these are right on top of each other, which is sideways. I would look on a 15 minute to see if there's any more clarity, but look where it's doing it at. It's doing it at the 23. That's basically a supply area is a place where price has moved down from in a strong area of supply, where I would expect that if this thing bounced, it may slow up right here again, which we can see we got moving averages there as well. I literally do not necessarily need my moving averages. I could literally have, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close one position out because this looks ugly. And that's the one I want. And there's no reason to get done with your money. Take your loss, and it is what it is. And then understand, I'm still in the trade, but now my entry was right here. I've got some room. And so now it's a better trade for me if I really want to be long. But basically what I'm asking for, if I did not have this, I would have this noise here of not sure where price really originated from. Where's the real demand at? Now, I do have the key in our Atlas tool, our fib lines, that tells me this is generally our playground. But when I have a demand zone sitting right on top of my Atlas, that is definite confirmation for me. And you will see lots of supply and demand zones sit at these numbers. Those means that means I got several different things in line for me to in my favor, odds enhancers. That help out, Christine?
Sure does.
I hope. Let me go. It's been a while since I've explained supply and demand because it's second nature to me now. So right now I'm going in, I'm resetting it up. I'm putting 2 candles. Now the default for this particular tool is 6. That's, for me, that's a lot of candles in a particular zone. That would take this whole area into consideration. Does it a strong move? I don't want that. I want pinpoint. And so I go in there and put that. And my bet is, as of right now, I got out, but I'm still respecting this demand zone. So what this does is it keeps me in a trade longer if I need to be in longer, but it also takes me out of a trade when the picture starts changing. You'll hear Al and I both say, and Eva does the same thing. She doesn't put her stop. She waits for her picture to change. When her picture changes, then we manually close ourselves out. It is rare that I'll get stopped out unless I'm not managing it. If I'm not managing the trade, then I'll have a hard stop and I'll walk away, like on my swing trading. But most of the time, I'm doing a visual analysis of candle structure, of our power Hercules tool, and saying, okay, where are we at? See, this is the reason why I was concerned. This got a little bit squirrely down here. We're getting weaker here. So let's see. We're already in the CAD. Let's see what happened to that. See if we got out of one of them, I think, and got into another possibly. Who knows? Let's see. And usually these are in alphabetical order, but I didn't set them up that way. Just missed my target. That's okay. Nothing's panicked. I'm not changing it. I'm not going to close it out. Now, Al has, if he sees a change in the picture and he gets this close, he closes it out. And you can play it again. And there's nothing wrong with that. I could literally play this one. If I did that, I would have put an entry right back where I was and start. And if it retraced back there, I'd do the same thing again. I would do it probably just above the 23 because my rule states I can't go short inside here. I have to be outside of here. That's my rule. This is the lower part. So I'm looking to be resistance here. And that's one of the rules that I have. I can't be short underneath the 23.6. So basically, when I teach swing trading, I basically will do this. I'll put my reminder box. That's all it is. That this is my green zone to go up. And this would be my area of most conservative shorting. Now, if by chance, this is where you have contingencies of your trading plan. If by chance this thing barrels down in here, then I have no problem being short because once I close down here, I drag my fib tool down here. So wherever price is at, your fib tool stays within your fib Atlas tool. And once it moves and closes below, see, we're going to get out of this one. We could have played this almost twice. It wouldn't have quite got up there. We're going to take our profit on this one probably here on this candle, but we got 4 more. Yeah, this one's probably going to hit during this candle. I would be surprised now that we've entered a new candle. But for fun, let's go ahead and close it out and show you what I would do again. So I know I'm at 5. I'm going to take my 5 because I'm scared. I'm going to go ahead and take that. Now, what I would do is I'd come back in, do my analysis. I still like, I like this entry the best still, but I'm going to drop down to that 5 minute. And I'm going to look at that 23 to see if there's anything at a wick and a wick that's awful big. This area right here, this wick area where it was once resistance and demand, I should say. This is demand, buyers. It broke, it retested that once, but it hasn't gone in there very deep. So I would probably put another aggressive entry right here. But because price isn't there, I just go in here and I'm going to make sure it's a sell. I don't want that. I'm going to do that. And I'll go with my 15 on this one because at this point, I'm not going to get crazy. I'm just willing to capture my 15.7. And now we're waiting for it to come in. So we got 2 entries that we can sit and wait on, and they're still valid. Both of them are valid. Both of them are price action based. Both of them have areas of resistance, like the 38. This zone right here. This one's right above the 23. I'd expect maybe even an overshoot back down. I could very well miss this by a pip, and that's okay too. If it happens to come up and miss and fall back down, we'll leave it alone until the picture changes. And what's the picture? Our Hercules tool. CAD still high, CAD still high, CAD still high, CAD still high. In US, we're good to go. And it's just basic boring trading. You want boring, and you want the community to be the fun part. You want the family here. Trading should be boring. We should be able to cut jokes, and let it do what it's going to do. Stress-free, no anxiety. No sales pitch, no hype, just fun. Let it do what it's going to do. Let me see something here to make sure that I'm not, at the same time, I've got my gearbox running in the background. And so let's look at the Kiwi US. Pound US is kind of coming around. That, well, at least one of them is. Remember, we took one of the positions off. And that's normal. It seems to be that sometimes you take your largest position, the higher, when it's losing, it always seems to turn around a little bit. We haven't looked at the Kiwi US. Let's look at our Hercules tool. How's our indices doing, or gold, or something besides current?
I've been looking at gold. It's funny that you say that. Gold.
You ready?
Actually, the NASDAQ is starting to look all right too.
You want to look at something?
Yeah, we can do the NASDAQ.
Let's since I'm in the Kiwi US, let's do a quick Kiwi US, and then I'll move it over. So Kiwi 7 to 1, 6 to 0, 5 to 0, 4 to 0. I would expect this to be in my favor. I would minimize that up, and I would drop this down into Kiwi US. This is the one that just took off yesterday. So right now, this is on a 5 minute chart. It's preloading. You can see where my entry's at, and look where it's hesitating. It's been hesitating for a while. I tried to play an early one on this one, but it didn't work out. You can see how early I got in, and it's just been banging. And right now it's just catching up. But I got a supply zone hanging over my head that could make this difficult on a 5 minute. It could make it a long grind, but this is not the one I'm worried about with the news. So going to the 15-minute chart, I'm sitting in the middle of supply, trying to go long, which is interesting to pull. But let me go ahead and pull my fib. And that way I can monitor it when you guys are doing an indice or gold. And we're not looking to be extremely precise here. Notice where I took the trade. I took it basically at the 50 because I knew the 50 was a strong one. My second entry is at the 38. Yeah. Finally moving up on gold. All right, let me stop sharing. Eva, are you ready to share?
I'm ready to share.
All right, go for it, girl. And we'll come back to these, and I'll keep you guys up to date on what's happening with it if something major changes.
Okay, so
there we go.
This is the NASDAQ. Did we want to look at gold first?
Your call.
Gold right now is kind of in a zone. Now I'm still using the arrow platform here, so that's why the zones are popping up. So, but what I actually look at is I look at the moving averages. And if the moving averages aren't in the order I want them in, I carry on and wait for them to get there. I'll go on to something else. So now this is gold. And as you can see, they're all in the order 5, 13, 34, 62, 200. This is showing me that it wants to go up. I will have a quick peek to see what it has been doing. And the daily is basically looking like it's been going up, and these are kind of jumbling for the daily. So it tells me it's wanting to make a change one way or the other. This is just for my information, just to have a quick look. So I don't put any big credence in it. I just keep it in the back of my mind. But so what I do is on my 15-minute, as you can see, it's all going up. That's beautiful. So I do a quick fib, and I draw my fib. Like in this case, it's going up. I better hurry, look, it's going up. So I draw my fib from here, from where it goes below the 34, where the candles close below the 34, the last one, up to the highest point, because I always trade the drawbacks. So right now, that's the 15-minute. I just mark out the 38, the 50, and the 61, just so I can see where it is on my higher time frame, and then I get rid of this fib so it's not messing up my charts for me, because I can't think straight ahead if there's too much stuff going on. So quick,
I'm with you.
Yeah. Oh wow, look at that guy go. So I mean, you could possibly jump in this, but I wouldn't. This is what we call a falling knife, because you don't know, you might get in it right now and then all of a sudden it's just going to stop and go backwards on you. So you really don't want to do that. At least I don't. I mean, what you guys do is your own business. But again, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw my fib. Same rules apply. Here's my 34. The last closing below that is here. That's where I start. I go up. So now in this case, this is perfect form the way it's doing this. It's going to pull back because I use the RSI as well, and as you can see, it's like it's overbought at this point. The buyers are going to get exhausted, and it will pull back before it carries on. So that's what I wait for. So now until this keeps making highs, I just keep moving my fib up. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for at least a pullback of 23. The 23 fib, preferably even more so. Once it starts getting down below this 76, well, then you know what? For me, all bets are off for this particular structure. I mean, it's 5 minutes, we're scalping, so it's going to rearrange itself in a big hurry anyway. I can always come back and have a look at it again. But so let's move that up there.
Update. We got an update on our pound US that turned around. If I'd have left my trade alone, I would be a little positive on one and about 12 pips on the other. The Kiwi has just hit its target.
Awesome.
Yep, that's good news.
Awesome. Okay, so this hasn't finished yet. It will pull back. I mean, that's just history. That's what it's going to do. So in the meantime, and like see, it's starting to flatten out here, the RSI. I hope you guys can see that, where it's starting to flatten out. So that tells me that the buyers are getting tired. So it will come back a little bit. So that's what I'm waiting for. So in the meantime, while it's doing that, let's have a quick look at see what the German is doing. See, the German is actually kind of stuck and everything is kind of jumbled. Like the 200 is up here. It hasn't decided which way it's going to go. It's kind of stuck between these two zones. So that's why I don't even touch it right now. So let's have a look at the UK. The UK actually has been coming down and it's just starting to go the other way. And it took out the last pivot high. So this one is looking to me like it's going to start possibly going into an upward trend on the 5 minute. If you look at the 15, you can see it better where it's crossed over. And now it looks like it wants to start going the other way. Or it's just going to be like a really big pullback, because when it gets on the higher time frames like this and it's crossing over, it's either switching or it's just a really decent pullback. So based on that, to me, I could see it's been going down. So I'm going to draw my 15-minute fib. Again, the last actually, where was the last close? The last close above the 34 was over here. And the lowest close below was there. So I'm just going to quickly again put in my 61.
So she's using her moving average and her RSI as sort of her replacement of the Hercules, because there's not really a strength meter for the goal for the UK 100.
No, it doesn't work the same. I mean, it gives you an idea, only based on, like, the UK is based on the British pound, for example, but it's not hard and fast like it is for the currencies, where you can actually see, exactly what it's doing.
The competition's happening, yeah.
Yeah. So now here I'm going to just bounce down to the 5 minute. My indicators are looking like they want to start going up here. I wonder if you guys can see that. The 3 is, or the green one here is the 5 minute, the 13, the 34. So now these are the big guys here. They're just kind of hanging around. But for what I do with the indices, if these candles can close above the 62, I'm good with taking a trade, because my UK 100, I go for a $2 movement. So let's see if we can do something with this thing then. So
did y'all, hopefully y'all heard that, $2. She's not going not very far.
Yeah. So from the top of this zone to here is $8, $8.50. I've got more than enough room to move there and place a trade. So what I'm going to do, based on the fact that it looks like it might be flipping around wanting to go up, is, again, I draw my fib the same way. The lowest point at the close under the 34 to the highest point above the 34. So that's my fib line. And again, this makes it perfect on the 15 minute. This is my fib lines, if you remember. The middle ones, the 38, the 50, and the 62. So this is primed for a buy, because we're low on the whole scheme of things. So what we're doing is we're waiting for the RSI to do its thing. And what I normally will do, because I'm anticipating that it is going to move up, because everything appears to me like it wants to. And especially once something closes above this 0 line and goes above here, it gives me a pretty good indication that it's still going to move $2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a buy stop on it, so that when it hits to where I eventually position this thing, it's going to go. I don't need to do market entries in a case like this, because I have lots of room. So what I'm going to do is my take profit is going to be only $2 away from where I want to get in. So this is where I'm going to get in, and this is where I'm going to get out. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this just down a little bit, because I'd rather have my take profit not a whole lot higher than the next fib line here. So my anticipation is that it might just wick into it and get me out if it doesn't, keep going up. So that's how I've placed my trade for the UK 100. So now I'm just going to watch. And the beauty of setting a buy stop or a sell stop is that you're not in it. So until it gives me a positive idea that it's going to go where I think it's going to go, I don't have to go through all that angst of watching it go into drawdown and move around and what's it going to do. Because I'm the type of trader that cannot handle that. I know Al's so much better at that. He can sit there and he can take the heat. I can't take the heat. So I got to get out of the kitchen. So I let it do its thing. And then if things start flipping again, then you know what? Then I just delete this and I haven't been in it. I haven't lost a thing, except maybe the time it took me to set the trade in the first place. So that's the UK. And as you can see, it's still pulling back, which is nice. It pulled right back to the 38. So we'll just watch that one for a minute and see what it's going to do. Now let's check out our gold. Let's see what it's doing. Okay, see it just wants to keep on going up. It just wants to keep on going up. But I'll tell you something.
Don't chase it.
No, I've been eaten by gold so many times, I can't even count. And I have traded with the best of the best that do gold, and they've been eaten by it too. So when it starts doing this kind of stuff, I won't even get in. Yeah, you could win big, but you know what? You could lose big quick. Is look at what's going on. Like this, all of a sudden, this looks great, but anything can all of a sudden make this thing turn around and start going the other way. And there you go. And sometimes the funny thing about gold is the indicators, they look perfect here, but they can switch in a heartbeat as well. So, and gold, sometimes I'll even trade it by the minute chart only because it can move so fast. And I want to see what the next candle is going to do that opens. If I do it on a 5 minute, then I'll tell you what I do is, let's just say I'm in it. I will put a vertical line through the candle that hasn't closed yet. And then I'll hop down to my 1 minute, and then I can see, okay, there's 2 more minutes before that 5 minute closes because it's on the third. Oh, there we go. So the fourth minute is now in play. So this could very easily just flip and go the other way. But anyways, that's my take on gold. So right now I still can't do anything according to how I trade because it hasn't done a pullback. It hasn't stopped.
How many of you guys in the room are trading indices or gold, or at least are interested in that? Just put a yes in the chat box, just so we kind of get a feel for how many people are actually watching any sort of indices or gold. Yeah, there's a couple of you guys, definitely so. I'm trying to learn it too because it is definitely different than it is for currency. Okay, cool.
Okay, so here we're back to the UK.
So we got a nice mixture.
Yeah, good. The US 30 is another one that the same rules apply. You see how these are starting to nicely get into the order I want them to. The 200 and the 62 are going to cross, and it looks like it's going to be good for a buy, but I haven't done my Fibos and things yet, so I'm not going to jump in that, obviously. And this one has time by the looks of it. NASDAQ, I mean, here's another one. NASDAQ, look at that. It's a beautiful thing. So if you look at the daily, everything's pointing up exactly how I want it to look before I'll even consider doing anything with it. Okay, this one's not, it's still in the order. Now, this is just me. You see the difference between how smoothly this all goes? Like, there's no problem. It's going up. When it starts doing the crookedy thing, it's a good thing, but sometimes it can kind of mess with you too. So you got to really kind of watch it, but it's still good. I mean, this is the 4 hour. So, and then we're down to the 1 hour, and you can see there's been crosses between the 13 and the 5. So I just have a quick look just so I can get an indication of what it's doing. And all this messing around that it's been doing just tells me that, you know what, it might be positioning itself at some point down the road that it does want to come down because it's been doing this weird little movements. But right now, with scalping that I do, it doesn't matter. Again, this is just information in the back of my head. So now I'm going to draw again.
And while she's doing that, I'm going to make a quick analysis for the US CAD. We're 15 minutes before that news. So what I am going to do is remove any orders that are close by that we were looking at. They're gone. I've already taken profit where we're looking at, but I'm going to go ahead and move my order way up against it. That way, if it happens to pop up during the news, we may catch a news item, but that's a strategy you can use, is moving to the extreme and use that as your possible entry to get in and out. Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Anytime we need to see your chart, just let me know.
You keep going. This is good stuff.
Okay, so you guys just saw me. That was my 15-minute chart. Now we're on the 5, and look how awesome this is starting to look. At like the spacing between them is getting a little bit wider, and I just love that because that to me is just like it's going to go further north, at least for my purposes, for my scalping. Here's a little wee bit of a wedge forming too, which I can see, and it's kind of like a downward. I don't know if your eye sees that, but my eye does. So that just tells me that it's just readjusting itself and getting ready to bounce and keep on going. But I digress. So
Excuse me, Eva. Eva?
So let's go and I'll draw the fib. Okay, so now this is interesting because you see the next one would be way down here. So I could take that and draw it like this, because these ones here, they wicked below the 34, but nothing closed below the 34. So because this was the previous high, then it just kind of went sideways. Now, if this one of these would have closed down below here, I'd have nothing to think about. It's just an automatic, okay, zip, let's go. But it was going sideways. So now it decided on its way back up. So I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to look at that strong move that came out. So it tells me that there are a few buyers in there. So I'm hoping it will actually retrace itself maybe to this area where there must still be some buyers in there. So that being the case, again, I do expect it's going to go past this and it's going to break this high. And this is the NASDAQ. Now on the NASDAQ, I do $5 moves generally speaking. So I'm just going to place an order. I'm going to put a buy stop in. I'm going to modify it so that my take profit is $5 move from where I got in. So it's going to be, oh boy, okay. So it's going to be 962, oops, sorry, 14962, 65. Okay. Now, let's just go quickly back and see what the UK is doing. Okay, it's still hanging around there doing its thing. So this, and I don't put it right at the line because I really want it to go above this and hopefully to close above it. But I want to keep it close enough that if it doesn't close above it, it more than likely will wick in. But I think once it's doing this and once it starts moving, it's going to move again. So that's how I set that one. Now, my stop losses, I haven't put any stop losses in, but generally speaking, what I'll do it in this one. My stop loss is usually twice as far as my take profit. So my stop loss in this case is going to be $47.65 because if my take profit is $5 away, my stop loss is going to be $10 away. So we'll put that in there. But sometimes I will manually move the stop just to get it out of harm's way, just for a minute, just to put it below like the 13 or whatever. But I won't leave it there because once it engages, I need to see what it's doing. But you see how it gives you like peace of mind that like now I can watch it. It can fiddle. It can do its a little up and down dance here, but I'm not in it. So I don't need to worry about anything right now as far as the drawdown. And I'll tell you, it's not going to always work. Nothing ever does. No strategy works 100% of the time. But
what?
Yeah.
You mean you don't win every time, just like social media tells you?
No, you don't. But
I know we do. I mean, we win every time.
I'll tell you though, in the last 2 weeks, I haven't lost one. So I don't trade, like Brian said earlier, I don't trade all day long either. I set my goal for the day, whatever percent I'm looking for the day. I set my goal. I know what I need to reach. And as soon as I reach it, I am done. And if for some reason I have a couple of trades that go bad on me, I stop. Obviously, it's not my day. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do when I'm scalping. If I get 2 losses in a row, then I'm done.
Yeah. Like yesterday, I didn't even get into anything.
I got into 10.
But I didn't see anything set up the way I wanted it to. But it was like, darn, there goes a whole day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't lose anything though. And as you can see, my account is super tiny. My challenge to myself is to build this little tiny account up to $1,000 in the next month.
But it's funny you said that because back in the day when I was starting to make money in trading. It took a couple of years to actually start getting consistent. I had a buddy of mine bet me that I couldn't take $200 and double it in a year. And all I had was $200. So I took the mentality like you are. I took the mentality, I'm going to bet a Snickers bar in order to get a hamburger.
Yeah.
I have to equate everything with food. So basically take a 50 cents dollar candy bar per trade, looking for that $3 hamburger. And I was able to double account within 6 months. So he owed me double with that. So it was nice. I ended up 200 times my account size because he took a bad bet and said I couldn't do it. And I've been basically doing that same type of mentality with my swing trading since. I'm no longer at candy bars and hamburgers because my account's not that small, but it's the same mentality. The problem is with traders, we get greedy and we start over leveraging and over position sizing. And then when everything goes well, we're happy. We think we know everything. And then when it breaks, we got to look for somebody to blame. And it's usually not us. And, the market did this. The market doesn't know who we are. Can't believe the market did this to me. And that's kind of the mentality. Hey, Eva, can I show the US CAD since we're getting close to news?
Yes, you can.
Since we're getting close to news, since yesterday, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
The
yes,
reason,
you're right, Jody Ann. Compounding is key.
Compound's key. Exactly. Take the small moves over a long period of time with Gearbox. I mean, I know some of you guys may be using Gearbox or Variable or Neo. Don't look for the week-to-week gains. Look for that long-term. I'm looking right now. I'm almost to the year with Gearbox, and I'm very excited about how it's turned out. And I've been looking week to week. I would be pulling my hair out, and I'm already hairless, so it'd be bad. Yeah. So here's our US CAD. Let's go back to our Hercules tool real quick. CAD is strong, but we're coming up on a news item here in 5 minutes. We've had strength across. My assumption is we're going to see it drop. I'm against the US dollar. I think it's going to continue to go down, but that's just gut. That's not anything statistical that's showing me, but I want to show you a couple of things that are really, really cool. You guys wonder why we use these tools and what, you guys are going to have access to these here in the very, very near future. But I want you to notice where price stopped on a dime at. Right at our fib line. That doesn't mean it's not going to go down through it, because it is. Also, we have this demand zone sitting here as another wall. So that's that odds enhancer that I was talking about, that I know it's going to react here. I just don't know how it's going to react. It's very rare that price will go all the way through unless it's a news item. And it could very well dig right on through. My assumption is it's probably going to first bounce. And I told you, this is my aggressive entry. If there was no news, I would leave this right there. That's where my aggressive entry would be. It'd be just above. It'd be the 2485. It still fits my rules. It's 1 pip above that line. That's my aggressive. If I wanted a little bit more moderate stance, look at this nice supply area right at the 38. This is where I would be getting in. This is a nice confirmation odds enhancer when I have a fib line at the same point of a nice supply area, which is pink, which means it hasn't been there before. This is light green. That means it's been there before. Dark green means it hasn't. So this is my wall. Notice where this wall's at, right at the overshoot area. So this is where I think we're going to be heading today, most likely. My assumption on how this is moving back. But I want you to also notice that when we do technical analysis, and that's the whole purpose of the room, is to get you guys able to trade if you had no tools, if you had nothing, all you had was a chart. And that's what our goal is, because the fact of the matter is there's not one EA that's been around for forever and lasts forever and works forever. There's not any sort of tool that does that. And so you have to be real, real careful in putting all your eggs in that basket of, oh, Gearbox is everything to me. I love Gearbox. Don't get me wrong. I think Tyler's done a great job with it. But there's coming a day where Gearbox is going to have to be adjusted, tweaked, or something, because it's not going to, the market's going to change somehow. Bankers will change things up enough to where they want to take the money away from you. they don't lose on a regular basis. Matter of fact, you won't find most banks that are in currency or any type of investment that have months of losses. Most of them do not have a month loss. So if that's the case, we want to make sure we're aware of that. Notice that this took off from this red line. And what we're looking for is places that our eyes can identify where it was resistance. You could put a line right here. Well, it just so happens if I drop down to the 5-minute chart or the 1-minute chart and put a fib line on there, there's a fib line at the 2490. That's this area right here. So why is there a zone? Why is this zone right here important? Always look left. If I were to draw a line, and this is the lesson for today, if I were to draw a line from this top, look where it falls. I went all the way over to here to the left and drew it where it was resisting. It broke out. It came back, tested it, bounced up, came back, tested again, bounced up. Now it broke down below. It's going to come back to this area. This is where we have great confirmation. That's why I said this to me is my favorite area. But because news is happening in 3 minutes, I put my entry up here because I didn't want it to come through, blow it out, and get me stopped out to only turn back down again. But I love this area. If this thing in 2 minutes does not move strong, I'm actually going to bring my zone back down. But we got 2 minutes to see what happens there. So those are the yellow boxes that I created, but you can see that's where my entry would be. If there was no news sitting there, I'd wait for it to retrace back. So we'll get rid of that. But these are our two options at this point. Looking at our power grid, there's not going to be a change. When we have news items, guys, when we look at Hercules like this, we're not going to see news. It's going to all of a sudden flip. And it's going to take the hour and 30 minute a lot longer than the 5 and 15. We will see some massive movements here. Even if the US dollar is still the weakest, if CAD starts flipping up and down, that's going to show us a lot on our chart. It may not do anything, to be honest. I've seen red folders do absolutely nothing. But then again, we saw yesterday, which was a lot of fun because I was on the right side of that trade. I was losing 4 trades in a row. 4 trades were losing until that news item hit. And then all of a sudden, all of them hit their targets within a minute. And I had nothing to do with it. My target was already set. My stops were in place. It just did what it was going to do. So let's look at this thing on a 5-minute.
Actually, Brian, can I just interrupt you for a moment?
Sure, absolutely.
The gold has just done its wee bit of a drawback. Just so you all know, is drawback. A replacement. Retrace. Oh my gosh. Another copy. Retracement. So I have set a small
entry.
But yeah, a small entry. Yeah. So I'm just can I show it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Keep a mental picture of this, and I'm going to unshare so she can show you the gold. And I'll keep an eye on the news thing because I don't think it's going to do a whole lot. Oh, never mind. It just started popping.
Do you need to go back?
Nah, we'll revisit it after. We expected it. It's not popping much, but it's popping.
Okay, so look at here it goes. Just in time. It retraced to the 23, and I set my it got me in. Look at that. It got me in. It wicked me right up. So
is that spread that causes you to get in that? Is this?
Yeah, I mean, see, look at what it's doing. See, this is how it goes backwards. But the spread's really not that big. Like it's under 50 cents right now.
Hey, is anybody in the room using cryptos yet or playing around with cryptos? Even in a demo? Put a yes in the chat box if you are, because we're going to be starting cryptos on weekends since the spread's a lot smaller. Put a yes or no. That way I know you can hear me. Yeah. Okay, we got 1 or 2 in there. That's all I want to know, because I'm new to it, but I love the idea of being able to come in on a Saturday with small spreads and set things up. Yeah, on demo. Good. That's what you want to be unless you're good with it. I'm not good with necessarily. I'm learning the personality of cryptos. So, and Eva will be heading that up as well.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm in. I got in sooner than I wanted to be in, but I'm in 2 of them now. I got into the NAS 100 too. Quick look at the NAS 100. Oh, look at that. It wicked right up to almost my take profit. So now I didn't even notice it got in there. So now we just wait for it to hit the take profit. And let's hope it's just another quick little push and we'll be out. And that, what is that? That's a $5 move. $5 move. Let's do it.
And you already took profit?
No, it's right here. It's messing around right.
Of course it's going to. The US CAD has broken into the next third. It hasn't closed there yet. That changes everything for our rules. So when we get done with this particular trade that Eva's showing, I will show you what the US CAD's doing. I'm going to make some adjustments.
Okay, we're done. So I got my $5 move on the NASDAQ. I'm through it, profitable. And look at it, it keeps on going, right? Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So that's why I go for what I tend to do. And I can't do it on this little tiny account that I have. But what I tend to do is I will adjust my lot position. So if I had a 0.10, that $2 move would have given me almost $60, just to put it in perspective. Where you could catch this, and that's great. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Because I got what I got, and I still have another trade to go and the gold. So anyways, back to you, Brian.
All right, here we go again.
Like TV stations here.
We're flying all over the place today. Okay, so here's our picture on the 15-minute. I have now moved my entry down to here. If this candle will close on a 5-minute chart down here, then I will be making an adjustment in our trade plan for this particular pair. Notice my yellow is where I would expect it to stop. If it blows through this, then we have clear air, pretty much clean air. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for these big meat pieces. So what we're really looking for, guys, when we're trading, and this is a very simple, I say it on my swing trading, it's simple, boring trade strategy that's low stress and it works. We're really trying to make money in that area right there. That's really where we're trying to make money. So when we're sitting in here, that's where we don't want to be opposites in these areas. Now, what's happening is you're seeing a structure develop that we call a drop base drop. You have your drop, one candle base, and a drop. Now, if this ends up closing this way, we're going to have another pink zone form right at our fib line. That will be my next entry. I will drop this down, and I'll show you what that looks like once we close out on a 5. So let's go ahead and go down to a 5. We got 1 minute before it happens. So now notice that's our money area there. So our money area is going to change. It's not going to be up here anymore. It's going to be down here. There's clean air down here, though. And so we're going to squeeze that up and let the clock go. So now that the price has moved through our demand zones, these will be gone here in a second, which is what we want. There we go. Now what we're going to do is change the picture. The picture's changed. We've now come to the extension. I could if I want to do counter trend, but I rarely do that. I would expect an overshoot and a little bit of a bounce. But remember, we're only 5 minutes away from news, so this movement may go for a bit before it has any sort of retracement.
Excuse me, aren't we 5 minutes past news?
It started at 7:30. We're 5 minutes past.
Oh,
so it's still doing its whatever it's doing.
Okay.
And it may take a little while before it settles into a retracement. So where would I want to be in? Well, this is my most conservative entry now. This is now my most conservative. I will not take this entry because by the time it gets up here, our Hercules would change. There's no way it's going to get that far. So now my most conservative entries here. My most aggressive at this point will be right here. And this is where I'm going. Remember, now I'm allowed to take a short up here. Remember, before we were green here, couldn't take a long. I can take a short inside here. So basically what happens is this is my picture now. Now that we've had a change of thirds and current price, this is the area that I'm looking to be short. Where would I be short? This right here. As long as I'm including this nice new, brand new supply zone. Again, I really like this one better. You always aggressive. I'm an aggressive guy. And notice what's respecting. It's respecting that demand zone. Okay. That doesn't mean it's going to go all the way up. But right now, there's nothing in here on any time frame that would show me there's a zone in here that I would want to do. However, before this cleared out, there was a demand zone here. Once demand becomes supply. So visually, I know it's there. Right here's a great opportunity. See how it's bounced off of the 2469. It was resistance, or you can call it demand, support, whatever you want to call it. Support, finally broke what was once support. You're going to want to remember this. What was once support many times becomes new resistance. And what was resistance becomes support. And that's this picture back here. Once it broke here, down here, demand, broke it, retested that demand, became resistance, and it's moved down since. I would expect this same picture right here. Don't know. It may be later on today. It may not fit our time schedule. And if not, we take the trade off the table. Don't leave a set and forget type trade when you're scalping or day trading, if you're not watching it. Now, if you're in the trade, I many times will make the adjustment of my stop to 15 and leave it alone and walk away. If I believe it's going to, even if I walk away at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, if I walk away, if I don't mind the loss and not managing it, I sometimes will leave my stop there, and it will sometimes get stopped out. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes the momentum will continue through the day. Our best bet, we've already had the break below the 76. Notice it's having a hard time. Our best bet is for it to come right back here and then fall back down, because we want to get down into the meat area of our trade. Our meat area of our trade, where we want to make the money, is right here. That's the safest place, because you already know where the ebb and flow is going. It's going to come here, touch here, come back, touch here, back here, and it's going to zigzag through these prices. Overshoots, yeah. Overshoots, yeah. But I want you to also notice this. This is 2450. You call it what you want. I know there's a great demand zone, but 2450 is where this thing stopped. It goes back to that dime quarter mentality. So be aware of your chart pricing to give you the key price points, because that's important. So somebody was sitting down here waiting to buy, or somebody's taking their short position and taking profit. So now we're having a move back up. And we'll see what happens. Let's look at our power grid and see what happens for Hercules and see where we're at, see if there's anything else we can do. CAD still high, CAD still high, CAD still high, CAD still high. US is weak across the board. We could look at an Aussie US and see if something different happens. While this sets up, there's no rush. It's going to be there. See if Aussie has a different picture. Okay. It's a flip side. Notice where it came to. This is a great illustration that these tools work. Where did it come to? Our blue fib line. And it's dropping off of it. It could not close. And now it's going to drop back. Now I have an entry way on down here, but I'm not so sure, because I'm aggressive. I'm going to put mine 1 pip behind. There's my entry. There's my trade. Really like this one overall. I can even come in here, very simplistic, and move that up and save some money, because I got a couple things in my favor. I don't have to. I can leave it at 15, but we've rejected it from the top. My bets were coming down to here, potentially. If not, we're going to hesitate right here and waver for a while. But notice we have a nice supply pink. That means it's never been tested. It's also the 74.80, 85 area, somewhere in that area. Our fib line is the 74.80. Again, we're talking dimes here. This could very well be a rally base, and if this will fly up, rally, this will become our new entry if we can have a close above here. It's very systematic, and I go fast. So if I'm going too fast on this, just say, hey, I don't get what you're doing. I do it fast because I've been doing it so mechanical, I don't even think about it. And that's where you want to get to as well. It just takes practice in that.
You want it to be like a job.
Yeah.
Do I have to do that again?
Yeah, you want it to be a job, and you want your friends and family in the room to be your fun, not the trading part. You really don't. When we do swing trading on Monday nights, that's the first thing. I spend 15 minutes for my swing trading a week. That's all I spend on it. Now, on Monday nights, we'll spend 30 minutes to an hour analyzing the charts, but I only do that because the people in the room to watch how to swing trade. But I'm a teacher. I have 15 minutes a week I can easily give to my trading for for swing trading. And so I go through all the pairs and I can immediately show the folks, okay, this is not a good location to get in. If you really love that pair, then this is what you do. And you set and forget. That's stress-free trading. It doesn't, I mean, I'm winning about 70 to 80% of the trades, and we're doing real well. I mean, even through COVID and the craziness of the market, the returns were a little bit lower than in the past years, but I haven't had a losing year in 4 on those. And so I'm looking long-term, how to have winning consistent trades over savings on steroids. You can call it what you want. But just consistent growth. It doesn't, I've always said fast money is fast losing. If you made your money fast, you can lose it fast. And that's why I get so frustrated with all the social media. Give us $100 and we're turning it to 1,000 in less than a week. Everybody's not telling you the whole story, and they're not telling you their losses.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not telling you how many times they lose. And here in Hawkeye, we pretty much tell you, oh, we just lost. and we're okay with it. I think we've grown in maturity of our trading that, okay, we're okay with that. We're going to lose some. Yeah. But we have so many odds enhancers in our positions that like this could, if this happens, great. If not, that's fine too. If I really love this trade, I would jump up to a daily chart and for swing, and you can see, oh my, this is noise to me. This is a daily chart. This is what I do on swing. And if you notice, it's the same look. This is my chart, but I wouldn't dare enter this on a daily chart for swing. No way, because they're sitting on top of each other. Now, for those who have used Arrow in the past, when Nate introduced Arrow, I said, it looks just like ours. Well, ours is a little bit more precise on the actual movement. His has an alert system to it. So it's a little bit different, but the price action points were the same. Now, in our swing trading, I use what we call SSI instead of the power grid, the Hercules tool, because that helps me. This tells me, and this will be encouraging to you, S&P 500 is down here. It has a 3.9 and it's green, just so you guys have fun. S&P is going to continue going up because majority of the people, this tells me that majority of the people are short right now, the S&P, which is crazy to think. They're short the S&P, but we already know that 90% of all traders lose money. So why would we think that they would be on the right side of the trade? 5% break even. So you are in an elite group if you are consistently making money. It's 5% of all traders, retail traders. 90% lose, and those 90% are the ones who are chasing that new shiny object to solve their problems. They don't want to learn how to trade. They just want somebody to do it for them. They want to find that piece that does it all the work. That's the 90%. You got 5% who could either be breaking even because maybe they got emotional issues going on. They move their stop, they move the target. They're good traders. They know the rules. They just don't always stick by them. And so they kind of get wandering. They're starting to figure it out. Usually your break-even traders are the ones who are either they're hindering themselves because they can't get out of their own way, or they're on the verge of breaking out. And then you got the 5% that successfully trade. Al and myself and Eva are probably in that 5%. I know I am. And I know Al is. I can't say what Eva's been doing because that would be too much knowledge for you guys, but she's been killing it with the German indices and gold. So brag. But I'm not going to say, I can't tell you percentages. It's not right to tell you percentages. All I'm just saying, guys, if you're going to be available on Saturdays, you want to be available on Saturdays if you want to know how to do cryptos and indices and things like that. This is just, I think we got to grind. I think we finally come to a grind point. Now, what's going to happen here, hopefully, and it may not happen today, we're going to have a rally basing finally close above, and this will become our buying area, our conservative buying area. That's what I would assume. I'm guessing with this particular pair as of right now, it's probably going to be outside of our time frame to actually catch a trade. So let's see what we got. And it's pretty much the same. Let's take a look at that pound US. You got a question in the chat box, Eva. I can't answer that
What?
question. Yeah, I can't answer that question. So let's look at pound. Just curiosity. Maybe we can. I don't want to force a trade, but this is demo, and the only way you're going to learn is seeing trades taken. So let me. I just can't get over this. How it rejects it right there. That just blows my mind. Every time I see this, it just blows my mind. Let's go to pound. See what we got. Okay, we missed it. We missed it. We'll see if we can get another one. We can see that I got out one candle too early. One candle too early to take. I didn't want to take a bigger loss. I got out one candle too early. Had I stayed in, I'd had both trades win. So I had one win and one loss. The win did happen to override the loss by a little bit, which is good. Which is good. So what would we do? Let's do an aggressive move, see what we got. Something to watch, and we can analyze as we go. I'll go ahead and don't do this, guys. Don't. I'm just getting a trade so we can analyze where we're at. Okay, so what would I do? I love the fact where our potential target's at. I would prefer it had been before here, but we've got this supply zone and we've got this green. So this is really the area of concentration. I would expect a hesitation. Notice where this candle stopped right here at the 76. Again, these are mechanical places. These aren't subjective. For me, I cannot do what Al does, taking a daily low and a daily high and making a zone. That doesn't fit me. And we're getting the same results. And if you ever notice his numbers, they end up being 1 or 2 pips different than mine. That's all we're talking. Yeah. And that's exactly right. Sugarcoating. It drives me nuts. I don't like sugarcoating. It's kind of like I tell my 4th graders, I always tell them, suck it up, buttercup, when things don't go their way.
There'll be marshmallows.
Yeah, you can tell my 4th grade class because I'm the only one that marches in a military style line down the hallway, and they're quiet with their hands behind their back. My kids love me, but they know I have expectations. We play really hard at recess, and we work really hard in classroom. They learn there's a time to play, there's a time to work.
Hey guys, my
Yes?
UK hit and is already out with profit.
You want to show it?
I can show it.
Yeah,
Hang
show
on.
you where you can, so you can show them the entry, show them where your stop would have been, and then show us the target. That way I can see too.
Okay, so my entry was, hang on, let me just pull you up. My UK, my entry was at 790, right around there.
Okay. Is that your red line?
No, that's price point. That's price
Okay.
action there. And
Were you long or short?
I was long,
Okay.
and I was at 789.90, which is right. Hang on a moment. Oh, it's such a hard time getting. Okay. 7089.90. Oh shoot.
No shooting. That's only here
No
in Texas.
shooting. No shooting.
That's only here in Texas. We all have a horse, cactus, and guns.
Sorry.
Okay. So let me just make that red so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to make this guy.
That red is your target.
Red was my target. Blue was my entry.
Look how small of that candle piece that she's doing. She's not going for the big move.
And did you notice that it wicked up slightly and now it's going the other way?
This is called the dime drop. Get your dime drop. You know, taxi cab, if you charge too much for a taxi cab, people won't pay you. But if you just accept a lot of cab rides, you'll make a lot more money. This gives her the opportunity to get in probably a whole lot more often, and also stay out a whole lot longer. Remember, you want to be out of the market for the most part. and only pick those precision entry type things. Because the more you're in, the more you're exposed to the guys who control the game.
Exactly.
She's
So-
getting the dime drop is all she's doing.
Yeah.
You could get 10 trades and you'll make more than you would if you took one big one.
So for the ones that we did here today, if you figure I started out, what was it, $10.50 some odd cents I made on this little account. Well, what is that? That's over 5%.
Oh yeah, you were at 150 something, so you're close to 7-8% ish.
She
Yeah.
was at 151.
Yeah.
So
Good job.
So 10%. You made 10% today.
yeah, so now try that on, say, $1,000 account, which isn't a huge account.
$100.
There you go. And that's just for what I did. And how long did that take? We've been sitting here. I've been doing this for maybe an hour.
Well, yeah, just say our hour and a half session. And
Yeah.
if you get the key is, guys, any trading, I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting with $200. There's nothing wrong with it. Some of us have to do that. It is what it is. But if you start with that small of account, you have to understand that you have to have a mentality this is in for the long haul, because it is going to be a grind. Because making 50 cents here, making $1 here, it's going to drive you nuts, because it doesn't seem like you're growing.
Yeah, it will. And I'll tell you, like, even on the gold here, I ended up closing it down manually because I saw this candle for me that it was continually going down. But, you know, I'll tell you what, I still got 32 cents, which really doesn't sound like a lot, but
do the percentage, right?
Yeah.
Do the percentage. And the thing is, you will start seeing that, okay, I can do this. And then that's when you're going to want to put some extra capital in there, because when you get to that $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 account, that $2, that same percentage move now is exponential. You really can make a living on a $5,000 account if you wanted to. It'd be tight and you'd have to be good at it, but you could do it.
Yeah.
With this type of movement.
Yeah, very easily. And you know what? You do the old penny double theory.
Yep.
And it takes no time to change that 5,000 into 10. So, you know, but you have to be focused and you have to be super disciplined. Like I said yesterday, I didn't take a trade at all. Nothing lined up for me good enough. And I thought, you know what? No, just walk away.
And then me, on the other hand, took 10.
But
they met my rules and they met my personality.
Exactly.
And I was 8 out of 10 yesterday. I had one big loss out of that, 2 losses, and the rest made up for it. So I was still profitable for the day. But 8 out of 10 as far as win. But again, it doesn't even go back to how often you win. You can win 90% of your trades and still be a losing trader.
That's right.
You can win 40% of your trades and be a profitable trader. It all comes back down to your position sizing and how are you managing that trade. That's all it is. Hey guys, as we get ready to close, I'm going to share my last screen here.
Okay.
I'll get over here before we close so you guys can see. Eva, did you answer that question that was in the chat box?
I'm just looking at it right now.
Okay. I want to make sure that gets answered before we head off. We are getting close. This is our pound US trade, aggressive trade. It looks like we're going to head into it. I looked at the Power Hercules tool. We are still strong with the pound, weak with the US. So here's what I'm going to do. If I knew that we were coming up and I had to leave for the day, there is no reason for me to leave this out on the table like this. I would either close the position out or I would move my stop to here. And the reason being, I'm taking a little less loss here, but this area right here is key to me because when I look left, this has been resistance. It popped above it. It hasn't come back down to test this area. So this area right here with the spread, that's where my stop's going to be. My assumption, it's going to work. That's what I would normally do. I am going to come over here though, just for the sake of what good habits are. And a good habit would be, don't get greedy, close out the position for 5 pips, take your profit, go home, be done with it. And that way you don't have to worry about it. Do not spend all your time watching a screen all day long. That's not what trading is about. You are trading, most likely, if you're like any of us, you're trading because you want to free up time and have another income stream. It is not so you can sit here for 4 hours a day and hope you have an income stream. If you're living behind a computer, you're not living. So definitely do that. Tomorrow, Al will be back. Let's see if we got anything on the grid here just to see if anything fast and furious. Let's look at that Kiwi US one last time, because that's the one that's been flipping a little bit for us. I'm going to drop this to 15. I may take a trade, a little longer term intraday trade, if it looks well for me on the Kiwi US, because I like the Kiwi US. It plays real good and nice with our tools. Okay, so it is not in a position where I can actually get into it right now. But if you see this line right here, what was once my target is now going to be my entry. And I am going to play it. You can see where this is still going to be my better entry down here. Once it loads up, I'll squish it over. We'll do one last trade, see how it ends up for tomorrow. I would expect it to come up here, resist it, and come back down. So I'm going to, this is where we were. 1 pip behind because we haven't been able to clear. I am now within my rules. I know it's kind of weird. That is my rule. And I'm in a decent place because really this is a nice zone right here. That's 61. If I go down to 5, there's probably a nice zone there. Again, I don't manage on the 1 minute. I don't think Eva does either. Al does. And so, hey guys, for those that you guys don't know, we had a great meeting yesterday too. There's some great stuff coming out. Great stuff coming out for Auvoria Prime in the community. So be on the look for the news that comes in regards to that. It's going to be some interesting new ideas that should help the community grow as well as trading success. So let's looking at this. This is great to me. This is great. This would be my aggressive entry. Here's my conservative entry. Okay, there's my conservative entry. All is well. All right. Anything else, guys? Any questions before we go? We didn't have a lot of questions. Everything was pretty straightforward today, I hope.
I think it was.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it is 7:59. We're 1 minute early. Enjoy your day. Eva and Christine, thank you for your help. And we will see you guys back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Al should be back, and we will start the same thing again and hopefully be profitable. You guys have a great day, and we will see you guys soon.